Now it's the World Championship or nothing.
EU has always been pretty close. We might see a close season again.
We need to practice a lot and be better than last week.
A lot of teams have the chances to go top 4.
I feel like we have a lot of work in front of us.
I think it's more about who's going to improve the most.
We really want to go to Worlds.
I'm just looking forward to having like a good split.
If you follow the last split, you know that anything can happen.
Train as hard as we need to win the split.
Qualify for the playoffs and then hopefully for worse as well.
Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome back to the European League of Legends Championship Series, coming to you live from our Cologne studio here in Germany. Cologne, Germany, that's where we are. I'm Joe Miller and with me is Trevor Quickshot Henry, and today our opening Super Week of the Summer Split continues with 6 big matches coming your way.
Yes, that is correct, and the teams are looking to come out the gate swinging in order to fight for those spots at the top of the table and their shot at representing Europe at Worlds. And since the split has just begun, absolutely anything can still happen.
But before we head into today's matches, let's take a quick look back at the action from yesterday, starting right at the top of the table. Funnily enough, it's our last place team from the spring split, Millennium, that tops the table now with 2 wins.
They looked fantastic yesterday. They had solid picks and ban strategy. They had a brilliant laning phase in both of their games. They showed good team fights, and I'm looking forward to seeing if they can maintain that high level. Summer split last year, they were playing as alternate. They came out swinging as well, so let's see if they can keep it up.
Very true. And on the subject of winning, SK and Alliance also won their opening games yesterday.
Yeah, so both SK and Alliance performed well last split. They continued their high level of play on day 1 in their opening matches, but they've both shown weaknesses. So we need to see if they can improve upon their mistakes that were made yesterday.
I'm going to use the word weaknesses here to go on to the next point. Fnatic, are we still seeing a recurrence of the problems that haunted them at All-Stars?
Definitely. I mean, yesterday, Fnatic, they just got outplayed in the mid-game. SK Gaming were behind 6,000 gold, but they still managed to find and force kills and towers, get themselves back into the game. Fnatic got caught out multiple times and ended up losing. So it isn't panic stations yet. Remember, there are 28 games this split. Fnatic simply made mistakes yesterday, which cost them their first one. There are 27 still to go, so there is time, you know.
Very early stages.
Being a bit overly dramatic, I think.
Possibly, yes. But for those of you guys playing in Fantasy LCS like us, Millennium's Curb ended up being a total sleeper pick yesterday. He absolutely destroyed in his 2 matches yesterday on Ziggs and Fizz, netting 57.45 fantasy points in the process. That's possibly more than I've got from my entire team.
What I'm very unhappy about is he's on my bench. I had Jesus as my starter, number 1. Number 2, I'm still very new to Fantasy Esports, and we've got the Caster League running. Luckily, I'm beating you in our Week 1 matchup.
I've got NA players, so...
And I'm hoping the trend keeps up. You guys at home, make sure you head over to fantasy.lolesports. Check your teams out. Start playing around with Week 2, because I sneakily snuck Millennium as my team on the roster for next week, just in case they keep it up.
Well, we'll have to see about that one. And speaking of yesterday's matches, let's take a look back at some of the big plays that had you guys fired up on Twitter. First up was a huge first blood for Tabs in Alliance's game versus the Copenhagen Wolves. This one came from Romez88. He said, that amazing kick into the box, flay and hook. Awesome synergy between Shook and Nif. This was the second most talked about play. Right now, they can see... That's just happened! How have they let it go through?
The theoretical kick, hook, flay, box. There is a second one.
We totally just spoiled the number 1 play.
We totally did. But it is Kerb's incredible Baron steal. In Millennium's match, it was against the Super Hot crew. I was very excited when it happened. I hit pitches that only Dolphins could hear. And it was at HTTR 2014. He says, best bomb ever. Play of the year? Confused? This was your most talked about moment in the European LCS.
You can see it's taken low. You can see it's 3,000 hit points.
Try.
2,000 hit points. It's coming in. He's got it. I don't believe that's just happened. How have they let it go through?
I got a little excited.
If Demon doesn't believe, you know it's a good play.
Well, guys, remember that you can always send your favorite plays from the LCS games to us on Twitter. Use @LOL Esports and the hashtag LCS Big Plays.
Well, before we head into today's matches, let's check out the table after our first day of the summer split. Millennium, as I said before, sit atop of the pile in first place with 2 wins, 0 losses after yesterday. And next we have a tie. It's Europe after all. Okay, after 1 day. We might be getting a bit overzealous there as well. Alliance and SK Gaming, 1 win, no losses.
Yes, behind them, Rocket sits in 4th with a 1-1 record. And then we have a 4-way tie at 5th with the Copenhagen Wolves, Fnatic, Gambit, and the Super Hot Crew, who are all at 0-1.
Well, that will, of course, all change today because you've got 6 matches coming your way, and here's who we're going to be facing off. We'll start off the day with SK Gaming taking on Gambit, and then the Copenhagen Wolves will face off against Millennium, followed by Alliance versus the Super Hot Crew.
If you're still with us, the second half of the day begins with SK Gaming against the Copenhagen Wolves. Then Super Hot Crew take on Rocket, rather, not a racket. And we will conclude the action with Alliance versus Fnatic.
And you can, of course, find today's schedule along with player stats, VODs of past games, team info, articles, and much more over at lolesports.com. That's where you can also vote on today's matches.
Yeah, just pick the teams that you think will win and hit submit. We'll check in before each match to see how you called it, find out how you can join us here in the studio in Cologne to watch the LCS live. Just click on the tickets link at the top of the page and come to see the pros in person.
Well, guys, we'd like to have your brain power as well, because apparently we've got none here today. So head over to Twitter and tell us which European LCS team will surprise us the most this split and why.
Well, Millennium surprised me yesterday. They came out swinging. They did very well. I think Fnatic may be up there as well if they continue this downswing. You guys at home, send us those answers to @LOL Esports and use the hashtag LCS. We will